Alright, gamers, it's Sunday night and it's before midnight when I wrote this earlier tonight and when I'm recording this. So that's like a double win in my book. It was another pretty fun week. It'll be more fun once I'm out of keyboard hell, but I'm going to talk about that in 1 minute. I'm feeling so much better than last week. The stuff I was anxious about with work wasn't that big of a deal. Didn't come up again. I had a nice, relatively stress-free week. And so I got my usual roster of topics. I'm in keyboard hell. I got anime. I got games. I got some other stuff. First off, keyboard hell. I basically took a break since I flashed the firmware the other week, and ever since that did not instantly work, I have been fighting for my life. Today, I went back into the troubleshooting mines. I tried looking at the hardware. I've set up two more PCBs with diodes and switches. Or diodes and sockets, rather. I don't have all the switches in because I just do not have that many switches. And I've got mixed success. So I have reset the firmware on my microcontrollers, and I started getting logging output, which is a step ahead of where I was before. And the problem is I'm getting input from about 11 out of 44 keys. Now, if you could imagine the letters on your keyboard and imagine like a third of them and like 4 other keys on your keyboard worked, that's kind of where I'm at. And it sucks. So, what I'm hoping for right now is that I will do a bunch of things to figure out what's wrong, basically. I'm going to be doing some continuity testing. I'm going to... I hate to say this. I might look into the actual documentation to see what pins on the microcontroller go to which keys, so that I could test the actual signaling for those with my multimeter. And like, I'm so glad I got this multimeter because it does allow me to do this kind of thing. But I wish that I was playing with my new toys being the keyboard and not my new toys being keyboard diagnostic toys. I'm learning a lot about software and hardware doing this, but just with the current economy, I just can't get excited about it because I'm like, it's not like I could easily do another keyboard build now that these tariffs are more real every day as those shipments are drying up, right? So it's like, whereas other stuff I could do feels like I could always try again, or I could always use the skill and develop it further in the future. The little keyboard projects in particular feel a little bit dire right now. So basically, I just want to get this working, and then it's gonna be on the back burner like forever. And that's why I haven't actually gone back to doing stuff like, more clay sculpting, which I do really want to do. It's just like, I feel like I need to do something like fully just like not learning based. Just like where the learning is fully unconscious as opposed to like the clay sculpting, where I want to do some like active learning as well, because I'm doing a lot of research for the keyboard, basically. Just like I want to put the clay off until I have more time for it and more of that like specific energy for it, and then after I do some clay projects, hopefully everything will be in a good place then. Basically, this is the long, weird way to say. First thing I'm going to do, connectivity testing on parts of the hardware. Second thing I'm going to do is just going over some of the soldering I've done previously and checking if I've possibly over soldered some of the sockets. I don't know if that can impede their function. That's my best guess for what's happening with the one keyboard where half of the keys are transmitting and half of them aren't. The one where I'm not getting any input is still baffling to me, so I'm going to be going through that pretty carefully. So first, connectivity testing. Second, the like solder check, especially if I find any particular issues. Third is gonna be once again just going back into the firmware with logging enabled and checking the logs for that to see if I get anything different. And I know I put this in a really rambly way. I had this scripted and then I just kind of went for it because after writing this, I did about another 3 hours of keyboard work, which is it's been a Sunday of keyboard basically, but at least I was on call with Rhodey, which made it a bit better. Now, moving on from that for now, anime. We're keeping the nerd shit clustered a little bit. Now, I mentioned the anime I'm on this season a lot previously, I think. Like, last week I mentioned how I really like Food for the Soul. Didn't watch an episode of it yet this week, just because we've watched so many anime. And, I want to say that the first drop of the season has come for me, and that is Rock is the Lady's Modesty. I have only seen episode 1 and 2, and I just have to be honest. It seems fun, but, like, I think I might also like it more if I binge it later or if I read the manga. It's just one of those things where I don't think the anime format is bad, especially on shows that center around music and bands, but something about it just wasn't exactly what I wanted. So, like, I felt a little bit let down because it was kind of hyped up for me beforehand. So it's the first I've consciously dropped this season. Not because I hate it, like I said, but just because it's not what I want right now. So, later, I'm going to be going back to that, hopefully. But I know how anime backlogs are. So, next up, I'm going to talk about the shows that are popping off this season for me. At least the ones I've seen episodes of this week, because they're fresh in my head. These are going to be out of all of the seasonals I've been watching with Bunny. And my top two of those are probably Mono and That's Journey. Mono is like, it's not a surprise that it's good. So it's kind of the one that was like the expected champion. And then That's Journey I thought was going to be a one episode wonder, where episode 1 was really charming. And then it was going to like fall apart. But no, I liked the last few episodes of That's Journey. I've loved all of the episodes of Mono. So those two have been very good for me this week. Next up, I'm also still watching Magyaiba with Rhodey, and it continues to be this classic shonen with the good and bad that comes from it. And I know people are like, oh no, the old man character is a pervert, we have to kill him. And I agree, but like, there's so much other stuff that comes with this being a series originally from the 90s that is just like kind of a fresh breath to me. It's like nostalgic, but I've also never watched it before, or like never read it before rather. So it's like it's just a very different vibe from stuff that comes out today. And I think that's just nice to have, even if it does have stuff that is like a cliche level of flaw nowadays. So I'm like, it's cringe, but it just reflects the era. But more importantly than that, we did also watch the last episode of Symphogear Season 1. And Symphogear Season 1 continues to be amazing. I know it's not like it's going to retroactively change or anything, but I have watched Symphogear Season 1 3 times, and I have never watched any of the rest of Symphogear. So hopefully, watching with Rhodey on our, like, we like watch it individually and then talk about it. It's like an anime club, but we do that format, and hopefully that'll get me to keep watching it pretty consistently. The big thing is just that, like, I need to sit down and actually put it on sometimes. I know this week I was a little bit behind on episodes until like Thursday night, and then I caught up to the finale. But I still really love Symphogear. Now, gaming-wise, last week I was talking about Last Epoch a lot, and it's fine for me as like a Diablo 2 replacement, but I don't know if I really like how the endgame feels with the whole monolith system. I know Path of Exile isn't exactly an exciting endgame either with the map system, because most of the time, at least in my experience for the past few seasons, I've played Path of Exile, it's just like, you do a bit of the content you like, and then you get to red maps, and then you do whatever the best moneymaker you want to do that season is. And it's like, that's fine. And I don't mean like moneymaker necessarily is in like the economy modes, but like they're just like dominant methods for getting good rewards in general. Just depending on like the season and how the balance of the different extra modes in Path of Exile are. But I don't really feel like I'm picking anything meaningful when I pick like my monolith maps in last epoch. And I think that's why it's kind of weak to me. But then again, in like 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get back to Arcane Sanctuary farming on like a Javazon. Like, what? I have an insane double standard here. But I don't know what it is about it. It's just a very different sort of feeling. And like both could feel very hollow in action RPGs because like you're grinding for the sake of the grind. So when you don't have that motivation for the grind, or like you're in a dry streak or something and your energy for it gets low, like of course that's gonna get to you. And I think that's what hit me with last epoch, really, if I'm being honest, because I'm like level 80 something and I didn't get any of the core uniques for my character yet, so I was like, but Fiend 2 may be retired. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna have more time, because I also want to start playing Kodelka. Now, I'm barely in the game at all, and my motivation for starting was just because I saw a cutscene from Shadow Hearts Covenant on Blue Sky, and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I'm here for. And it was like, it was such bait for me that I hopped on like the spiritual prequel to the Shadow Hearts series, um, which is pretty dire, but I'm hoping I have a good time. I've heard the combat system and like the amount of combat can be a bit tiring as you go along, but my hope is that with save states and everything, and like being on an emulator, I'll be able to fast forward like some of the more tedious bits, and hopefully that'll make the game feel a lot more good. I just watched a YouTuber talk about it before, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the combat got a little bit tedious like 10 hours in," and I think they said the game is like 15 hours long. So I'm hoping I don't have it too bad, because I'm not much of a gamer. I just like the stories and stuff, and like how the gameplay gets me invested in them more. As far as like story driven games go anyways, I tend to have to be either hooked on the mechanics or the story really hard to like actually get through them. I'm kind of a bad gamer, but there's another game that I also want to play, and that is 100 Line. I really want to play 100 Line so bad. Uchikoshi and Kodaka are like the dream duo, and I'm so excited to see them have another game where it just seems like the scope is insane, and the characters are like insane in that specific like Danganronpa way, where everything just like has such a weird flavor to it, but you get kind of hooked on it. So I'm really hoping that the game is fun. I've seen a little bit of the whole like strategy RPG gameplay part of it, and it seems cool. So I'm excited to get into that in practice. I just don't know when I will. I bought it at full price though, because I heard their company is in debt over it, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta support my guys. It's kind of a case of like this particular type of game where it's like very much like a visual novel with other gameplay elements is like kind of in dire straits as a genre right now. So I'm hoping I'm doing my part at least. Now, one more thing that I haven't actually usually talked about on these is that I normally try and cook a new recipe every week or so. I think I skipped it once recently to just make carnitas and like nothing else. But this week I did make gumbo for the first time. I tried to do one of these new recipes, and I was like, well, I have this like andouille sausage and all of this pork shoulder, because last week I accidentally bought 17 pounds of pork shoulder, and I'm like, I want to use some of this up, but I did red beans and rice like just a month ago, so it feels like it's a little bit too tight in the rotation already. And my friend was like, what about gumbo? So I sent it, and I gotta be honest, that gumbo is delicious. I'm really happy I got to do that. I think that making a dark roux for the first time was a really novel experience for me, because most of the time if you use a roux in cooking in general, at least in like, I guess sort of the vague European tradition that mostly uses roux, more commonly, that is usually like a very blonde roux. But this one added so much flavor when I was cooking it with the vegetables, and I like just tried a spoonful of just like the roux and vegetables, and I was like, wow, that really does have a lot of flavor. So like I get why the like Cajun cooks who came up with this do this. It's like actually really hype. So I think I did okay. The big thing was that I made it take way too much time because I was cooking it on way too low of a heat because I was worried it would burn. I shouldn't have worried, and Bunny gave me the feedback that V normally puts the roux in the oven, preps the ingredients, and then finishes the roux on the stove. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds really smart. Because that saves you like, I know it's not like 1 to 1, but that's like half an hour of cook time for the roux basically, while prepping like literally everything else. Because you got what? You got like 3 types of veggies to dice for the Cajun Trinity. You got the meats to handle. You got the garlic and whatever else you might have. So it's like, yeah, holy shit, this is a big time save. I should have done, but I didn't even think about mixing the format of cooking in the oven and on the stovetop. In the Serious Eats recipe I was looking at, it did talk about the oven method, but said it would take 4 hours. And I was like, I don't want to take 4 hours. Because of other reasons, it did take kind of 4 hours for me. But basically, could have gone better. But the outcome was delicious, so not mad about it. And I almost forgot, and I just added this last second. I did also get to watch 2 movies this week. I watched In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter and Megalopolis by Francis Ford Coppola. And I'm going to be honest, I liked one of them more than the other, but both were like, what? So, In the Mouth of Madness is really fun. I felt like it would have impressed me more if I hadn't seen other media with similar themes as it. Kind of a case of like coming to it 30 years late makes the impact not quite as big. Especially as like the whole what if the world is media or affected by fiction sort of angle is more common. I just paused there because I was like, should I even speak about that? But I think even in the original marketing for it, it's not the part that is the twist. The twist is just how you get there, right? So it's like I don't feel too bad mentioning that. Next up, Megalopolis. My very first Francis Ford Coppola movie. I've never seen Godfather or any of the others, whatever they may be. And Megalopolis was a case of the movie was insane. I don't know if I agree with any of the actual like stances taken by the characters or the movie itself, really. I, it felt to me like it was very much about like, oh, here's this great man in this like kind of crazy messed up world, and I'm just like, when Adam Driver's character just said some shit about his Emersonian genius, I was stunned. That was like the most iconic line in the movie to me. And then like 2 days later, I saw a forum post with a signature that included a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote that was like basically Ralph Waldo jerking himself off. And I was like, that is what Megalopolis is all about, baby. That is the Megalopolis. I thought that the movie was pretty cursed, but the performances were really fun. And that's why, like, even though I don't think I like the movie that much, I had a lot of fun watching it once. It's kind of like the Minecraft movie in that way. Now, that's pretty much all I had to talk about this week, if I'm being honest. I had a lot more to talk about than last week, and I know I got a bit rambly this time because a lot of the keyboard section was unplanned, but we get what we get. And sometimes what we get is a rambly video. I have to be honest, I have been sleeping weird for a while now. I think most nights for the past few months I've been waking up in the night pretty regularly, and today I didn't get like a full 8 or 9 hours of sleep like I prefer, but I did get sleep where I don't remember waking up at all, and it could be that I still woke up and just don't remember it, but it gave me at least the placebo of being better rested. So I have like a weird level of energy right now from not enough sleep, but uninterrupted question mark sleep, and that crazy energy is carrying me through this Sunday. I'm not excited for the work week, but I'm doing a lot better than last week, and I'm hoping everyone, all the oomfies listening to this, are able to have this kind of like balanced, like not excitement, but not dreading the work week as well. I hope you're having a mild one this week. But yeah, that's all I got. I hope y'all have a good one. Bye bye.